Senator Peter Welch just lost patience with a Trump nominee, and honestly, who can blame him? When tariffs swing on presidential mood instead of economic logic, small businesses suffer. Welch didn't come to grandstand. He came with receipts from coffee shop owners, bike sellers, and farmers watching their livelihoods collapse. What unfolds next is a masterclass in controlled outrage and a reminder that political chaos indeed.
Thank you. I thank all the witnesses for being here. And just at the outset, I do disagree with the administration tariff policy, as many of us do, and I understand that it's not for you to decide what that policy is. It's for you to implement it. But I do want to ask some questions. Mr. Gottman, we've had a number. Basic question is this: if there is to be any tariff policy, is there an advantage that it be consistent?
Thank you for that question, Senator. I think that the policies, the tariff policies of the president have resulted in significant acceptance.
Okay, I'm not asking that. I get it. I mean, I get it that he believes in them, and I get it that all of you have a job to implement them. But I'm asking a really simple question. Small businesses are having their heads explode in Vermont because the tariff policy that they're subjected to, they don't like the tariffs. But what they can't deal with is that they change from day to day. I mean, the president saw an ad on TV he didn't like from Canada, and he increased the tariffs by 10%. So what my business folks are saying to me is, Peter, it's tough enough to deal with the tariff, but if we don't know what it is from day to day, that is going to make our very difficult job all the more much worse. And I'm asking, basically, do they have a common sense concern about having whatever it is, the tariff policy, it be consistent and reliable and something they can plan on?
Senator, I think that we have been engaging in reversing decades of, unfair trade.
This is very frustrating. The frustration here, I'm not holding you responsible for what the tariff policy is. That's the president. He got elected, and he's entitled to pursue it. I believe it should be Congress's responsibility on it. But I'm just asking, you'll have a very major position, as you will, and you'll be giving advice to the president. And let me ask you this. Would you say, President, why don't we get a tariff policy and then have that be something folks can rely on and count on? Is that something you'd suggest to the president as a good idea?
Senator, again, as part of negotiations, things change, and it's important to maintain leverage to get the outcomes that we want that are supporting American jobs and small businesses in particular.
All right. I mean, politicians we get accused rightly oftentimes of empty rhetoric. And I won't suggest that's what it is, but it's not an answer to the question. Let me ask you, Ms. Perkins, some questions. You have got an incredible resume, and or Ms. Callahan, an incredible resume, and I was very impressed in our meeting in the office. So I clearly think you have the skills and experience to do a very good job. So I am going to ask you a couple of questions about what's happening to our farm economy. These tariffs are, all of our farms, the dairy farms in Vermont to soybean farms in Iowa, they operate on a very thin margin. And we had a hearing with Senator Grassley yesterday. And of course, we had some Iowa soybean farmers who can't sell their product. And I mean, is there, in your view, a link between the tariffs that have been imposed and the complete loss of market opportunities in China for our Iowa soybean farmers?
Thank you, Senator Welch. And really, from my own perspective, negotiating the agreements on reciprocal trade, it's actually the opposite situation where previously the United States had an average agricultural tariff imposed on imports of 5%, while we were negotiating with countries that have 10, 15, 20, 30% average tariffs on U.S. agricultural goods going into those countries. So the reciprocal tariffs have really allowed the leverage that we can get both removal of non-tariff barriers that have prevented U.S. agricultural goods from accessing markets, and also bringing those incredibly high tariffs down so that the United States can compete on a level playing field.
Bottom line here, you did not address what I said, and you don't dispute as a fact, that our Iowa farmers have not sold a bushel of soybeans to China, and they're getting hammered. I'm just going to end with a quote that really reflects the dismay among our businesses. These are practical people. A lot of them voted for the president, but they got to run a business. Bill Wilson runs a Birds and Beans Coffee in Manchester. The whole tariff system is making managing our Vermont-based family business a nightmare for me and my daughter. The U.S. government is destroying our business. Simon Perkins, who recently ran Orvis, the reality is that a rapidly changing tariff environment is killing us. Peter Case Burroughs Sports. I mean, this is small businesses. These are folks that are in our communities, your community and mine. We love what we do and we're under attack. For 90 years, Burroughs Sports has proudly served Brattleboro, growing with our community through good times and hard. Today's economic pressures, rising cost and shrinking margins are testing small local businesses like never before. But now the very people who are in place to help are threatening the very way we conduct our business. They're getting hammered with steel tariffs. I guess I'm going to end by making a plea to you. You've got a job. You've been appointed by the president. You are going to be implementing his tariff policy. But there is dismay among everyday people running businesses about the ever-changing nature of these tariffs. It's really had a dramatic impact on our tourism business in Vermont. It's really hurting. So at the end of the day, my hope is that the reality of what is happening to our farmers, to our bike shop owners, our coffee bean sellers, gets delivered to the president so there can be some adjustment. And I do have one last question. I'm getting a little latitude here from the chair, but I do want to ask one on Social Security. You know, the death benefit when your spouse dies is $255. And today, that was in 1955. And today's money, that'd be over $3,000. We haven't adjusted since. And I've got a bill in so that we would bring up that benefit to reflect inflation. Is that something you would support?
Senator, I know this is something you're passionate about and a bill that you've been working on for some time.
I can't hear you.
I know this is an issue you've been working on for some time, and I'm sympathetic to it. It'd be inappropriate for me to comment not being there, whether I can support.
Well, you think 1955 funeral benefit works in 2025?
Costs have certainly gone up, Senator. I agree with you.
Well, I hope I can get your support on that. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I yield back.
What we just watched wasn't simply a tense Senate exchange. It was a breakdown of economic reality meeting political spin. Senator Peter Welch wasn't playing partisan games. He was voicing the pain of small-town America, where unpredictable tariffs have become a silent tax on survival. Think about it. One day, tariffs are 10%. The next, they're 20%. Not because of a new law, but because the president didn't like a TV ad from Canada. That's not economic strategy, that's policymaking by impulse. And Welch calls it out perfectly. He's not attacking Trump's authority, he's questioning the chaos, the lack of reliability that makes it impossible for small businesses to plan. When he says small businesses in Vermont are having their heads explode, that's not exaggeration. He's describing a real pattern, local economies being whiplashed by political vanity. Then we get to the farmers, the people who always seem to bear the brunt. Iowa's soybean producers can't sell to China anymore. Vermont's dairy farmers are barely hanging on. Tariffs were sold as a tool to defend American industry, but they've ended up closing markets, hiking costs, and shrinking margins for the very people they were supposed to help. The Trump nominee's answers here, long, vague, and evasive, tell their own story. They sound rehearsed, detached, bureaucratic. Meanwhile, Welch brings up real names, real businesses, people who voted for Trump but who now feel betrayed by the consequences of those policies. That's what gives his frustration weight. It's not partisan anger, it's moral anger. And his final pivot to Social Security is brilliant. It's almost symbolic, a reminder that Washington can't even update a funeral benefit from 1955, yet keeps promising working people relief through tariffs that only make their lives harder. This exchange captures exactly what's broken in American economic policy, a disconnect between slogans about America first and the lived experience of Americans who can't afford another policy experiment. At the heart of Welch's message is something profoundly simple. Consistency matters. Whether you're running a business, a farm, or a government, you can't build stability on political impulse. And that's the takeaway. Policies made for headlines destroy lives built on hard work. If you value voices that cut through the noise and hold power accountable, subscribe to Left Lens, because real change starts with understanding how these decisions ripple through our lives.